I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, but today I want to continue to look at that most difficult of subjects, and that is forgiveness. You've no doubt heard it said that you must forgive and forget. But that is just not true. You know, we've all had situations where we have placed a great deal of trust in someone, only for something to happen that leads you to seriously question the trust you had placed in them. As a pastor, I've experienced many situations where someone has done something or has said something that goes against all that I believe as a Christian. I don't want to go into details, and so I will use an example by Victor Killigan, where he states that the relationship he had with the person before the infraction is not the same as afterwards. New information has been introduced, and the relationship, such that I know the person differently than I did previously. A relationship based on unquestioning trust may now be compromised. And it would be foolish to pretend that things have not changed and that we should just forgive and forget. Now, to take an extreme example of that, I may find out that a certain person has abused one of my children. Now, both my child and I must seek to forgive that person, no matter how difficult that will be. And yet, new information about that person has been revealed, and I cannot act as if I do not know about it. To live as if I don't know it, then I would be lying to myself. Would anyone seriously argue that I must forgive and forget and allow my child to spend time alone in the future with this person? To do so would be lunacy. Some may ask that if you treat the person differently than you did before, are you still holding a grudge and therefore not forgiving that person? To be clear, we need to make a clear distinction between holding a grudge, in other words, having an unforgiving spirit, and behaving differently in the face of new information about the person in question. As outlined above, there are some circumstances in which it would not be prudent to continue to have any sort of relationship with that person. This does not mean, however, that I've not forgiven that person. As Pastor Thomas Watson said, when do we forgive others? When we strive against all thoughts of revenge. When we will not do our enemies mischief, but wish well to them, grieve at their calamities, pray for them, seek reconciliation with them, and show ourselves ready on all occasion to relieve them. This is gospel forgiving. Now that is really tough, as Watson identifies both positive and negative aspects of forgiveness. Negatively, we will not intend to do harm to people who have harmed us. This involves our actions, our words, and our thoughts. Thoughts are the hardest to control, and yet we must strive against unforgiving thoughts. We must not seek revenge or payback of any kind. If we have been slandered, then we must not slander in retaliation. If people have stolen from us, then we must not make plans to steal from them in return. Positively, and if it's appropriate, we must look to help those who have harmed us. Now that is really hard. We cannot call ourselves Christians if all we do is pay back evil with evil or insult with insult. We can all understand the man that walks into a courtroom and blows the head off a person who abused his child. And many of us not only understand such emotions, but we may even approve of them. And yet we can hardly say that such a man is acting in a Christian way. If we want to be followers of Jesus, who has called us to a higher standard of living, we must pray for that man and not seek harm for him. Impossible it may seem, yet with God's help, nothing is impossible for the one who puts his trust in him. I wish you well. Thank you.